Hello, hello. This is M, CEO of the Soul Focus Group and super coach of One Soul Circle. I've been enjoying these conversations we've been having. When I get time to, usually I'm so busy working with different groups and organizations across the country, around the world. And, you could get so busy until you don't, the things that you like to do. Like I like these conversations. I like being able to share with you something that will either encourage you or give you a boost or help to bring about some clarity in your perspective. Because that's what this is all about. This is all about perspective. What I mean by that, I mean, a change in perspective can change your entire life because a perspective is a viewpoint, a way of seeing things. And what I found is that most people treat their perspective as if it is who they are. Like we become attached to our perspective, we become attached to our point of view, we become attached to our way of seeing things, so much so that we close the door or we are not open to another point of view. And even though we're not getting what we want from the old point of view, we will hold on to it because our ego says, what will they think about you if you admit that you're wrong? What would they think about you if you admit that you're wrong? See, some of us are wrong. We know we're wrong. We know we're not getting the results we want, but we are still so attached and so stuck to that point of view that we don't want to admit that we're wrong because we know that we're going to have to do what? Make some adjustments as a result of opening up to a new point of view. So think about, I want to make a suggestion to you. I want to suggest that your perspective is a tool, like a hammer, a screwdriver, a drill, a car. It's a tool. It's designed to help you achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. And sometimes, you know, a hammer is not a good enough tool to get certain things done that require maybe a screwdriver or a drill or a wrench or something that affect. You could have. That's the reason why they have so many tools in the toolbox so that you will have a plethora of tools to choose from to get the job done. Now think about that. Your perspective is like a tool, and you should be creating a toolbox of perspectives that help you to get the job done. So you should be married to the outcome that you say you're working to produce more than you are to the perspective. Some of you have left your significant other because you would not give up the perspective. You treated the perspective as more important than the relationship. Let me say it again. You treated your perspective as being more important than the relationship. You did not see, you did not hold the result or the outcome that you were looking to create in the relationship as being the holy grail of what you should be measuring your perspective. If your perspective is not supporting you producing that outcome, then you need to change your perspective. You need to put that tool down, put that crowbar down, and pick up another tool. I mean, how much sense does it make? You are trying to force a hammer to do the job of a screwdriver. And everybody's looking at you and says, look at this fool. This fool is nailing something that he needs to be unscrewing. You keep applying perspectives that don't work. What you mean they don't work, Em? They don't work because they're not giving you the result you say you want. And let me tell you this. I want to be straightforward with you. Anything you tell yourself, anything you say, think, or do that you believe takes you off the hook for being responsible for the outcomes you say you want in life is bullshit. Anything you think, say, or do that you believe takes you off the hook for being responsible for what you say you want in life is bullshit. It comes as gossip, it comes as disempowering stories, it comes as excuses, it comes as throwing pity parties. I could go on and on in different forms, worry that bullshit shows up. And so many of us are full of bullshit. We're full of bullshit because we want to hold on to a perspective, and that perspective is not working to give us what we want. And I say that because in the work that I do, there are a lot of people who are full of shit. What do I mean full of shit? Because see, that's a different term from bullshit. Being full of shit means you keep saying that you want something, but you're not taking the action you need to produce it. You keep saying that you want to be great. You keep saying that you want to be at the top of the mountain, but you're not exercising the energy, or you're not putting forth the effort that is needed to get you there. So you're full of shit. So what ends up happening is you say a lot of stuff, but that stuff becomes empty promises, and everybody around you is whispering, "Oh, you full of shit." That means they don't believe nothing that you say. Some of us are like sitting on, uh, imagine we have diapers on, adult diapers, and we're full of shit sitting on those diapers, sitting all those promises that we have not kept, all those things we said we wanted to do, all those things we promised that we would get done, all those things that we said that we wanted to have happen, that we have taken no action on, that we have not changed our perspective about to get it done. That all those things makes us full of shit. And I don't know about you, but I don't like being around people that's full of shit. Because a person that's full of shit, guess what? Guess what happens? They're not gonna keep their word, and they're gonna give their word a lot. People that's full of shit give their word a whole hell of a lot. They always giving their word. They always saying they're gonna do this and saying they're gonna do that, and you look up, they ain't doing shit. They're complaining all the time, because that's another form of bullshit. Complaining, telling disempowering stories, always painting themselves as the victim to everybody, and yet they are not taking any action on any responsibility with themselves to transform their reality. Let me ask you this question. Is there any point in our lives, now listen to this very carefully, is there any point in our lives where we are not responsible for the power we have in ourselves? Is there any point in our lives where we are not responsible for the power that we have in ourselves? In other words, is any point where we are excused from exercising whatever power we have within ourselves? Any circumstance, can you think of any circumstance, any situation whereby the universe is not going to hold us accountable to the power we have within ourselves? When I say power, I'm talking about intelligence, talking about drive, talking about will, talking about desire, talking about intuition, talking about instinct, talking about gut, talking about all the powers we have within ourselves. Is there any point where we are not responsible for taking action or being responsible for the power within ourselves at all? Is there any period, anything in life that takes us off the hook for that? If there's no place or condition or circumstance that takes us off the hook for the power we have within ourselves, then we are responsible all the time. That doesn't mean that we're not victims of certain things in this world. That doesn't mean that we have not been wronged in this world. But that means if you sit around and wait for the person who wronged you to get their shit together before you get your shit together, you ain't gonna ever get your shit together. Some of us have been sitting in an adult diaper full of shit, talking about we waiting on our oppressor to change before we change. Good luck on that. Good luck on that, because you are not to blame for the oppression that was acted upon you, but you are responsible for your liberation. And if you're sitting around waiting for someone else to come liberate you, or for someone else to acknowledge that they oppressed you in order for you to liberate yourself, then you're playing a game that you're not going to win. You're playing a game that you're not going to win. Meanwhile, in this now, in this right now, you are not living, because you're playing a game of waiting. I'm going to wait. When they acknowledge that they oppressed us, when they give reparations, then we're going to start living. Please. Please. You're playing a game that you're not going to win. You are, I am, we are always responsible for the power we have within ourselves. And to whatever degree we are aware of that power, we ought to exercise that power to liberate our mind, so that our mind is working for us and it's on our side and it's doing what we tell it to do. And it's a powerful mind. There's nowhere in the world we should be walking around with such a powerful instrument and not be creating more of the world we want for ourselves with it. I'm M, Super Coach, CEO of the Soul Focus Group.